Hello class. As you had already completed with the cell chapter, now we are starting with a new chapter, that is tissue. Tissues. You know that this group of cells is known as tissue. The cells, it can be a same cell, a type of cell, a different types of cells, right? So when we are saying same types of cells are forming a group, or it is can be of different types of cell, but they group together and form a particular function. They perform a particular function, then they are known as tissues. When we say the tissues are arranged and designed so that why they are forming the tissues, they are forming a particular form, or they are working together to perform a function that is having the highest possible efficiency. That means that the cell or the nature are trying to give the 100% in all its function. Like for example, when we talk about the blood, it's from the different types of cells. The red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, plasma. So there are different types of cells in the blood, but they are performing the particular function, that is transportation and the protection of the body. So they are performing in the high efficiency manner. Okay. Now, when we say the tissues, cell, when we start with the cell is divided into two parts, plant cell and animal cell. Similarly, the group of plant cell will form a plant tissue and the group of animal cell will form a animal tissue. But in that, the when we say animal tissues, in most of our cells are living. The animal cells are in animal tissues, all the cells are living. But in plant cell, it's exception that the plants are having a dead cells. Okay, the tissues are present a form of or a group of dead cells which are having the main function, that is supportive function, and the mechanical strength that is helping in the whole plant to stand by. There are only some specific cells which are living in the plant tissues, as otherwise most of the cells are dead cells. So what we are saying, that living cells of the plant can divide and the dead cells cannot divide. So the plants are having the dead plant, dead and non-dividing, dividing and non-dividing tissues. But in animal tissues, all are living cells, right? Although they can dead, so there will be a non-dividing tissues as well, or the non-dividing cells as well. But there is no such demarcation that there is any dividing or non-dividing tissues. Okay, there are the cells which repair, which may repair or which may dead and become a new, make a new cell, but they are on the basis of the cellular level. On the tissue level, there is no such demarcation of dividing and non-dividing tissues. Now that's why when we are saying that most of the cells are dead in plant cells, they are having the main function, that is supportive and mechanical strength. That's why the plant tissues are less complex. But in animal tissues, all are living, all are different types of cells. The shape is different, location is different, the function is different. According to that, the whole performing, the organs are different. So according to that, the animal tissues are more complex. Now, when we specifically talk about the plant tissues, as we said, they are divided into two categories, the dividing one and the non-dividing one. So, these meristematic tissues are the dividing one, and the permanent tissues which cannot divide are the permanent tissues. There is a subdivision of permanent tissue into the simpler one and the complex one, and what is the function of that, because the most of the cells in the plants are permanent tissue. But in this class, in this session, we are talking about the meristematic tissues specifically, which are the dividing one. Now, when we talk about the difference between the meristematic and permanent tissue, yes, obviously, these are the dividing tissues and these are the non-dividing tissues. But they are localized in certain regions. They are specific to some regions. Like, for example, they are present in the tip of the plant. That's why there is a growth of the plant from the tip. But when we talk about the permanent tissues, they are present in all over the plant cell, and even the meristematic tissues. These divides and when they lose the property of dividing, they become the permanent tissue. When we talk about the characteristics, what is the basic difference between the meristematic and permanent tissues? Then in the meristematic tissues, the cells, the meristematic cells are very active. They are having the cytoplasm which help in the division, the dense cytoplasm which help in division. The cellulose wall is thin. Why so? Because they have to rapidly divide. So the thickness, they won't be allowed. Then after that, prominent nuclei. Why? Because they are dividing continuously. There can be a number of nucleus as well. The nucleus are prominent because they are they have to divide, right? As you studied in meiosis and mitosis, for the division process the nucleus have to be divided, and for division of the nucleus the chromosomes have to be condensed, and for that condensation and for that division of the nucleus, the nucleus should be prominent so that it can be easily divided. After that, there are the lack of vacuoles, because there is no need of vacuoles or the storage. They are not having the role of storage in storage of water or food in it. They are not helping in that. So there lacks these vacuoles. Even we studied in the basic difference between the plant cell and animal cell, that there is a large vacuole present in the plant cell. But this is the exception, that in meristematic tissues, as they are not permanent, they are not storing the food, they are only dividing. They are active and they do not need the vacuoles. Okay, as we said, there is a differentiation. The word is known as the differentiation. When the meristematic tissue divides and those tissues and the cells lose the ability to divide further, like for example, one meristematic tissue divides to form cells, then four cells, then eight cells. It can be a case that from the eight cells only seven are the active one, and the one become the permanent cell or the permanent tissue that will perform a specific function and the having the same specific shape. Then that's the formation from the meristematic to the permanent is known as differentiation. Now, next is meristematic tissues. When we talk about the meristematic tissues specifically, these are of three types according to the location and the function they perform. Okay, as you see, these are the tip one, in the plant, the tip one are the apical meristematic tissue. In the roots as well, this is the root. In the roots as well, the tips are grown with the help of apical meristematic tissue. The apical, as you can suggest the name, that apical means the tip ones, the lower tip and the upper tip, the shoot tip and the root tip both. After that, there are the lateral meristematic tissues or the lateral meristem. These are not present in all over the region, on all over the diameter, but they help in increasing the diameter because they are present in the outer surface only. Outer region of the circle, they are present, not in the center. That's why they are the lateral meristematic. They help in increasing the diameter. After that, the second one or the third one is the intercalary meristematic. As the name suggests, they are present in center or in intermediate parts. That's why they are named as intercalary meristem. What is their function? They increase the length from the center, as well as from these parts the plant, the leaf, the branches grow. That's why they are intercalary meristem. Right? There are three categories: apical, intercalary, and lateral. Now, when we talk about the apical, intercalary, and lateral meristem in detail, first is apical meristem. You can see that plant is having the tip, and from the tip, you can these are the tissues and the tip only of the roots and the shoot. These root cap is preventing those cells in the apical meristem so that they won't be able to rupture. There is a root cap as well which help in the growth. In the root cap there are the cells, apical meristem, as well as in the part of the root, on the tip of the root, there is a apical meristem, and the root cap is covering it and preventing it. Okay. Now, there is one question that comes that, like, for example, when we say, if you studied about the tissue culture, right? In the tissue culture, they says that they will generally take the meristematic and specifically the apical meristematic tissues, not the permanent tissues, for growing the new plants. Why? There are the two reasons. First reason is that they are having the capacity to divide. When they divide, they will form the new plant. So that will be easy for the scientists to make the new plant from the meristematic cells, right? But there can be the chances with the help of chemicals and the different experiments that we can regain the capacity of the permanent cells, or we can give the chemicals or hormonal system to the plant cells, the permanent cells, to grow. But that is not possible, right? But in apical meristematic specifically, they are taking the apical meristem cells for 2 points. First, that the meristematic cells are dividing cells. Okay, that's great. Second point is that the they are the disease free points. The meristematic cells are dividing always. Like, for example, if I give you the example from the nature, you know that the flowing river is not having any problem or any contamination, but the standing water is having the enzymes or the bacterial problems, or the mosquitoes grow in the standing water, right? So we know that the stagnance causes the disease or any problem, but the flowing or the movement is always helpful for removing those variations, those diseases. Similarly, the permanent cells are having the risk of the contamination or the diseases in the plant, but the meristem are preventing that point because they are dividing, they are not having, or they are the least chances or the negligible chances of getting the disease from these cells. Next is intercalary meristems. As we said that, like, for example, there are the nodes. Like, for example, you can see the sugarcane here. In this figure, you can see there are the meristems. Like, for example, these are the bamboo sticks. In the bamboo sticks, these are the nodes. It's easy to understand in this. And these are the internodes. These reddish part you can see are the zone of elongation, and these are the intercalary meristem or the meristematic tissues present in this area. What happens? These cells grow and form the permanent tissues and help in increasing the length of the internodes, right? And as well as these cells help the nodes to grow the part of leaf. They help in increasing the, or give the new give the birth to the new leaf as well. Okay. Next is lateral meristems. Lateral meristems, as we said, you can see the minute red lines here. These are the cells. These are not present in all over the cells, all over the crossing part. You can see the cross section here of the stem. The red line is the lateral meristem. The green parts are the permanent cells. Only this red line is forming the lateral meristems. They grow, the ring will increase in size, the diameter will increase, so that the length of the, or the thickness of the plant, the girth of the plant will increase. As you can see, the girth of the plant from the small sapling to the plant and to the tree till it forms the bark, it will increase with the help of lateral meristems. So in conclusion, we are saying that in the meristematic tissue, there are the apical meristems, there are the intercalary meristems, and the lateral meristems. In apical meristems, they are present in the tip of the shoot and root. The intercalary are present in the leaf base and the node parts. You can say the internode parts and the node parts, which help in the formation of the leaf and the increasing in their length of the internodes. The lateral meristems are present in the side lines of the stems and the roots. What is the function of apical meristem? It helps in increasing the length or the growth of the root and the shoot. After that, the intercalary help in the growth of the leaf, the formation of the leaf, as well as the increase in the height of the internodes. Lateral meristems help in increasing the diameter of the stem and the roots, as well as it helps in the formation of the thin leaf or the very slight or the weak stem into the huge, thick and hard bark. Okay, the diameter is also known as the girth. So it helps in increasing the girth of the stem and the roots. Class we will talk about the permanent tissues, and then after we will continue with the animal tissues.